When I first started bag making, I thought it was all about taking a few pieces of fabric, cutting out the pattern pieces, stitching it together, and voila, you would have a finished bag. But honestly, there were a few things that I wish I knew earlier on in my bag making journey that would have given me so much better results. I'm Deb from the Bag Makers Society, and I help bag makers go from hobbyists to confident creators. And today I'm going to talk about 3 things I wish I'd known earlier on in my bag making journey that would have saved me so much time and frustration. So number 1 is pressing. It isn't just for clothes, it is for bags too. I talked a little bit last week about interfacings and stabilizers, and we all know the importance of making sure that our interfacings and stabilizers are properly pressed and adhered to our fabrics. But I'm talking about pressing out seams and pressing out different parts of the structure as we go when it's needed. So especially if you're using things such as cottons or fabrics that can be pressed, I think it's really important to press out those seams as you go. It can then make constructing the next seam so much easier. It makes everything lie nice and flat, and it does make for a much easier construction process. So you might have seen on my channel about a year ago, it might have even been 2, that I did a video on the HTV Rond heat press, the 10x10 heat press, and that is what I use for pressing on my interfacings and stabilizers, or if I need to press out my fabric before cutting my pattern pieces out. But what I also have on my desk as I'm working is a little mini iron, and it's this one. It's the same brand, HTV Rond. I do actually really like their products, but again, I've had this one for around about the same length of time, and it always sits right on my desk next to where I'm sewing. And I have this so that I'm not tempted to skip the process as I'm going. I can literally pop it on to heat as I'm sewing a seam that I know is going to need to be pressed out, and then I can press it as I go. And it doesn't take up much space on my sewing table. It heats up really quickly, and it's very handy for those very small seams. Any iron will do, a little mini travel iron if you don't want to take up too much space on your desk. But I do think having an iron that's very close to hand does mean that you won't skip pressing those seams. So number 2 is fabric choice can be everything. And I don't necessarily mean just to your finished bag. I do also mean to sort of your enjoyment of the process as well. Don't feel that you've got to choose a fabric just because everybody else is making a bag in that fabric, or because the pattern says that it should be that fabric. I.e. this bag here is obviously kind of designed for faux leather. Now the front of this, which is a plique, probably is best in a faux leather or leather because so it doesn't fray, but there would be nothing to stop me making this actual bag in something different, something like a canvas or a denim. That would actually change up the style of this bag quite a bit. I always think it's really good to experiment as well, especially as you get more experienced. Now for beginner bag makers, I probably would suggest keeping in with what the pattern designer suggests that you use. But as you do gain more experience, you get to learn how different fabrics work, how different bag structures go together. Experiment, learn what you like working with, learn what you don't like working with, especially in different types of bag styles. And that can really improve your enjoyment of bag making as well. If you've only ever making the same types of bags in the same types of fabric, it's going to get a little bit boring. So definitely mix it up. Have a go with fabrics that you've not used before, especially if you can try and utilize things like charity shops or scrap stores, that sort of thing, so it doesn't work out too expensive. And just have a go. What's the worst that can happen? It is only fabric. Number 3 is perfectionism shouldn't be the goal. We all want to create the perfect bag with the perfect top stitching, the perfect seams, the perfect everything, but it doesn't always come out that way. Every bag that we make presents itself with a learning opportunity. So even if something doesn't turn out exactly how we want it to, we've learned things from making that bag. We might have learned what not to do, or we might have learned something that we can take forward into making our next bag. We're all guilty of a little bit of self-deprivation. I'm going to hold my hands up here. Take this bag for example. Made this bag a couple of weeks ago. and there's plenty of wonky stitching on it. I could get it up close and show you where some of my top stitching has gone a little bit skew with. There's a little bit of the applique stitching isn't as perfect as what I would like, but at the end of the day, I am so happy with how this bag came out. I can't go into shops and buy a bag like this. This has only been created by my vision and my love of bag making. If you get disheartened at any point because something hasn't turned out as perfectly as what you wanted to, take a step back and have a look at all the things that you have learned from making that bag and try and turn a negativity into a little bit of positivity. I hope those 3 things kind of help you on your bag making journey. I do have one little bonus tip. Don't sew when sick. That has been me all this week, hence why I am not actually putting out the video that I'd planned to put out this week, because everything I have touched this week has not turned out how I wanted it to, because I've not been well. My brain hasn't been able to work as quickly as what I would like my hands to, and yeah, I should take my own advice and rest. So that's a little extra bonus tip. If you're not feeling well, don't put yourself under any pressure. Go and have a nice cup of tea, maybe a biscuit, and get yourself plenty rest. I'd love to know in the comments box down below the things that you struggle with most in bag making. Is it zippers? Is it interfacing? What things do you see in a bag pattern that you think, no, I don't want to make that? And I'd love to maybe make some videos in the not too distant future that might help alleviate those issues for you. And if you want any more bag making hints and tips, I do have my bag making survival guide available to download for free on my website. I will pop a link in the description box down below. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Hopefully next video I will be fighting fit and raring to go. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, I will see you soon. Bye.